Christmas bells are ringing. Christmas bells are ringing. Christmas bells are singing on TV at Sex.
Honest living, honest living, honest living.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Delayed Response. I'm Deja Beamon, and today we have a holiday video episode for you all. So in thinking about this episode, I was really just trying to figure out how to make the show a little bit more dynamic. So we have 3 segments planned for you today. The first will be just Ramsey and I talking about different episodes of Delayed Response that have come out thus far and our experience with making them. And the second will be our top 5 individual faves of the year, what we watched, what we read, the things that have lasted with us. And then lastly, I will do a bit of gift giving, gift guide-esque for suggestions. Some of you slid in my DMs and gave me some, or asked for some help with coming up with some reading racks for people. With those ready for you as well. Let's get it started and talk about the year we've had. Okay, so as I said in the intro, Ram is going to be my main guest of this episode, and we're just going to reflect on what it's been like to make the radio show, maybe shout out 1 or 2 of our favorite episodes, and then we will talk about other things. So Ram, thank you for being here today.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, so I don't know if I said this in the intro that will make it to this episode, but when I was first thinking about doing Delayed Response, I had sort of mentioned to you that I was going to need your help. I don't think we envisioned it becoming like as collaborative as it has, but I was like, hey, you have, a skill set, you know how to mix things. I think I was really just like, maybe you can help with some of the music we use as like background, but it ended up being that a lot of episodes you helped like with the whole structure. So I don't know, how do you want to reflect or
okay, what's the question?
There's no question. That's what I was saying. Do you want to just give your vibe and then we'll go into a question, or do you want to like just maybe shout out your favorite episode? Very free form.
Okay, so we'll do the favorite episodes.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, favorite episodes would be I've been thinking I really like the episode you had with Joan about undergrad and undergrad, weed, and anxiety. In hindsight, I thought that was a really good episode for a few reasons. Can I talk about each episode, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, we can always edit it down. We can.
That's true.
You can do whatever.
Yeah.
More content's better.
So that one was like, it made me think about undergrad and my experiences. Undergrad isn't really a time I like to revisit. Not because anything was bad, but just because it was, the thing that I'd forgotten about was just the anxiety of it all. And that episode kind of elucidated that, along with the music was really fun.
Yeah, that was a fun music episode.
Yeah, and I think me during the editing got lucky with some of the drops and everything, because there were some times where the music cut out, and that was one of the things that people liked about the episode was the music. So you of course chose the music, and I put it in, and then just got lucky about how some of them fell into place. The other one was the one with you and your friends reliving 2020's version of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I really liked that episode because it's, all of you all did big things in the midst of the biggest event, one of the biggest, if not the biggest event of a lot of our lives. Ben did his thing with photography. Ben and Jeff did their thing with Parable. Sid made the whole backyard sessions, which those are a bunch of bookmarks I think those are going to be lifelong bookmarks. For the most part, Luria spoke about friendships that were kind of solidified during 2020's version of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking to kind of the flip side, which is, well, both versions. A lot of my personal relationships were solidified and strengthened during the separation. And then a lot of them kind of fell by the wayside too, which was equally important for reasons that are, for another time. Tess's version, I really like specifically what she said about how getting vaccinated was kind of very uneventful, contrasting contrasting 2020, which was eventful from March until the end of it.
Yeah.
So, and then to see and hear you interact with your friends when I'm not in the equation, because it's like if I'm seeing and hearing you, I'm usually in the room with you all, and it's just different when I'm not there and you're interacting with them, and it's a cool thing to see. Same thing with Joan in the episode about undergrad. And then I'll just give 3. The last one was actually Salt. I really like the Salt episode.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
That one was fun for lots. I think that was up until that point, I was very much, I'm not going to collaborate. I'm just editor. You just tell me what you want. I'll put it in there. That one, we had to kind of work through stuff. We had a bit of everything. We had successes. We had low points. We had little tiffs here and there. We had things where we kind of agreed automatically. And we were editing that while you were here and I was in North Carolina. Yeah. Yeah, we were editing that over Zoom. Yeah. So, those are my high points and low points. Okay. Well, those are highs. Yeah. Those are my favorite points of delayed response.
Wow, we did a lot more episodes than I was trying to make a list of all the episodes, and I feel like we got around 10, which is a pretty solid number. That means 2 months we were chilling out, but I think Salt still is my number one, mainly because that was also a cool weekend of events. It was through the All Day Blackness with the Wexner. I never thought I would collab with a museum in whatever form that took. And we had been playing that album the fuck out, and every time I would listen to it, I'd be like, I want to talk to people about this shit. My friends know that I forced them to listen to that album. So it was really nice to get to speak my piece on music, I think, and on an album in particular. That was before we stopped really listening to albums, honestly, and started doing our mixtape shit.
Can I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, when it got taken off the air, I was also kind of part of me.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, part of me was really hopeful that Salt would reach out. I don't know why I thought that, but I was just maybe someone will, maybe just somehow throughout the interwebs it'll make its way to Salt and they'll be yeah, sorry we had to take that down, but it was dope what you did. I was really hoping that would happen. Maybe it happens now.
Right, stupid, yeah.
Little honor anonymity.
Yeah, we fucked up all the copyright on that one. We didn't really know that you can't play a whole album, I guess, or more than 3 songs from one album in a row, otherwise you get flagged. So nobody else will ever experience that episode besides people who listen to it live, which is also really nice because a lot of different people actually tuned into that one because of the wax. So I'm really happy that that's the one that got lost to the ether. My second favorite, these are not in order in any way. I like a lot of different ones, but because of the unique experience was the Scrawl episode, and that one also was never heard because there was a mishap when it was supposed to re-air, and the radio station aired a different episode instead. So I have still never heard that one through. It's on my laptop. I asked Reg to send it to me, but I have not listened to it through. So the only Riley, do not start barking. The only version of it that I had in my head was being there and being in the moment, which is the most fun. It's a live. It was the closest thing to karaoke meeting my radio show that we've had. And then all of the ones you mentioned are my favorites. And just talking to my friends, I feel it's rare that I feel I'm in control of a conversation, and it's rare that I feel I get to have that type of attentive energy with one-on-one with people that I care about in my life. So to everyone who came on the show, Prince, Katrina, Kylie, Sharon, Ben, Jeff, Maria, Sydney, Tess, Joan. Long distance, what's up, Joan? I think that's it.
Did you say Sharon?
Yeah, I said Sharon. Thank you all. Appreciate you. All right, what's the follow-up question to our favorites?
Delayed response. I don't know.
What about promos? Because you originally started helping with promos.
Yeah.
Like, so you were doing mixing,
Mm-hmm.
and then also helping like with conceptualizing the promos. I feel like we like our promo game fell off a little bit after a while. But how did you feel about that process?
I'm gonna say really quick. I knew it coming in.
Yeah.
I've had my experiences with content creation, but I think I don't take issue. I think falling off, while correct, is like inaccurate too, because it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Like content creation, it's hard. It's hard. To say we fell off, we just had to do other things at the time, and when I did the video, I had all the video for the interviews with your friends.
Oh God, that took forever.
The April episode.
Yeah, 'cause we were in Durham.
Yeah, the April episode. Yeah, that took a lot of time that I had at the time.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like life gets in the way, and there's other things that happened. But promo, I mean, it was fun. I've had my experience promoting things to death. Like we were talking every hour to 2 hours during the course of a day, just pubbing stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm me, so of course it's like the one that I did yesterday can't be the same as the one I do today. The one I did an hour ago can't be the same one I'm gonna do now.
Yeah.
So it's healthy because it wasn't. I think it was healthier than doing that because it was very much I'm gonna post one thing. I don't need to be the star of this. Any of my promoing, I don't have to go with that same train of thought that this promo has to be vastly different from this one. So that kind of kept it fun. The video was fun. I'm trying to think of what's another one we've done recently. I guess the one that we just did.
The mixtape.
Yeah.
Mixtapes.
Yeah, that was a fun. You coming up with the name mixtape, and then hey buddy.
I'm worried that this got moved.
For sure.
Good.
The theme of the mixtape episodes being some type of old form of media.
Yeah.
But not being like vinyl. I think it's vinyl's kind of in
the default old media. Yeah.
That's almost like our great grandparents in listening, and it's like okay, cool, whatever. What the things that are old now are like CDs.
Yeah.
And, even the iPod with the last one.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably it was fun.
Yeah.
It was.
We had some cute ones. The one with the friends was a lot of fun, where you intercut everybody's like something everybody said.
Ooh, and can I say, part of creating too is like happy accidents.
Yeah.
That's the same with cooking. You put a little bit too much salt in something. It's like, oh, that's actually kind of fire. Or we don't have this. We don't have broccoli, but we do have Romanesco. So let's just try Romanesco. It's kind of like those happy accidents. That whole video was one big happy accident.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like when I was, because you weren't here when I was editing
No, I think it was out.
There was one, like the clip when Tess was saying how uneventful something was, and then when Jeff said, just kidding, I started a business.
Yeah.
And how those two played off of each other really well. That was one accident. Like I didn't know that I had clipped Jeff saying that, so when I pasted it next to Tess saying that, it was just like, it was that him saying, oh, just kidding, I started a business right after her saying how uneventful it was. And then the reaction of you laughing after that, also happy accident. I didn't know I copied that, and so I just pasted something, and so it was almost like you laughing at that accident, and it just kind of went perfect. So yeah, like the whole, and then I had to add Laria because Laria's footage came late.
Oh yeah, we did it later.
Yeah, so putting her in, just kind of, it was also like how, because the ad was kind of perfect in my mind, so then how do I kind of add it and keep the same? Of course, people aren't going to know that the filling's been disrupted, but or not disrupted because Laria is not a disruption.
Yeah.
But that it wasn't the original that I had. So that was it was almost all one big happy accident, and I love that.
Okay, that dude we painted.
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
It's truth.
Cut to that promo. I'm sure I can put that in here. Roll it.
Okay, cool. All right, so today I have my friend
Sydney McSweeney or Sid.
Ben Willis.
My name is Laria.
Jeff.
My name is Tess.
Okay, so I have a couple questions prepared. One thing you made this year, a moment from the past year you'll always remember. What art have you turned to over the past year? What's helped you cope?
A moment from this past year.
Honestly,
So I think like a really easy answer is just like
I can't drink, and y'all had it was popping.
Definitely was very hesitant about doing it.
That felt to me doing my part.
like this past year definitely intensified and gained the opportunity for more friendships to grow.
that was just so surreal in how and even how uneventful it was. Like
Oh, just kidding. I started a business. Crazy shit happened.
Shit was
Like,
happening. Crazy.
Wild.
Yeah. Throw the whole year out. It was yesterday.
Thanks, Verge.
Okay, cool. I have one more question about delayed response. And you can feel free to comment on anything after that related to the show. But I'm not sure if we're gonna do this next year. We have a lot of shit happening. But if you could have produced, or if you could have seen 1 or 2 more episodes, do you have any idea of what they would be around, or what the vibe was?
I would want at least 2 more mixtape episodes. I think the first one started off very hot. It definitely felt there's one transition, and after that, the rest of the transitions went to hell. I'm talking about myself. I did a lot of that, so it sounded good at the time.
Yeah.
Whenever I create music, I always like to play them ad nauseum because there's always little things that can be improved. I didn't get to do that with this episode. So when it sounded good once finished, once actually published, not so much.
Yes.
This last one, while very good, I'm still hearing little things, and it could be like, producer error. We always want perfection. I would want 2 more to kind of see how much better we could make it. So offer it 2 to 3 more of those. Also to see how music tastes change. I think this one wasn't as heavy on hip hop.
No, yeah, it was definitely more mellow. Yeah.
And the different types of hip hop. So I want 2 to 3 more of those. I bit selfishly, I would want one where I would want to take over one.
Oh yeah, that was the plan. Yeah.
Just, but like not even pub it as me taking over, just you, and then you do everything. Yeah, and then it's just me saying, "Hey, it's Ramsey. Welcome to Delay Response." Hey y'all, welcome to Delay Response. I'm not big. Yeah, but the other, I would like to interview you for one. In this universe, these could either be the same episode or they're different ones. Yeah, but one where you're just kind of put on the spot, and I would want to put you on the spot. I would want you kind of unprepared. I like those type of raw answers where you just there is no time to prepare. You have to, in the moment, who are you in this moment? How do you answer this question in this moment?
Yeah.
I would want to do that. I still think I would want to do some kind of callback episodes too. Like I would want to see one with you and Kylie. Now that we're friends. Yeah. Now that we're friends.
We weren't friends the first time.
A redo of that one.
She always forgets she was on the show though. She's talked about that book, and I'll be like, Kylie, or both books, and I'll be like, Kylie, we literally had a whole episode of Delayed Response about it.
That I wouldn't mind seeing one with Prince either. Now that Prince has gotten some more stuff out, just same kind of thing. Run that back.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind doing another Friend episode just a year later.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, a year later from that episode, 2 years removed from 2020 and the 2020 version of the pandemic.
Yeah.
How some of those, if the March episode was kind of a review of the year, okay, those are kind of the initial plants of the seeds that are planted in 2020. What's grown out of that? Because Ben's done some more things. Ben and Jeff have changed Parable a bit. Laria's, I don't want to leak her life, but she's changed things. Sid's about to go through a big change as well.
Yeah.
Who did I leave out?
Tess.
I don't know what's happened with Tess.
That's what happened updated you on Tess's life.
So to run that back and do that again, and that would be a whole lot less stressful to edit, just because I know what I
know how to do it. Yeah.
Ooh,
now you make me want to have a second season.
Honestly, I think having Reg on an episode would be cool too.
That would be cool. Yeah. It'd be dope to talk to.
So I think if we ever did it, that's a year worth of content
right
there. Yeah.
If anybody wants to, I don't know what would give us more time to do these things.
Yeah, she has a Venmo and a Cash App.
Right, I don't know if that would...
Everybody wants.
If cash equals time, let's do it. I like those. The only thing I would add is an episode with you, because Ramsey was supposed to be a part of the Friends episode, but we had to cut him for time. And I liked what you were saying about, you know, reflecting on how you've grown over the year. We like live together and we hang out all the fucking time, but we don't necessarily always talk about all the things. So it was really nice to just hear how you had grown and how you were processing 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to do, I didn't really know, I still don't know if the show got a vibe, which I'm okay with. It was a really like sporadic, anything we wanted it to be creative platform. But I'm an academic, so a lot of the collaborations I would like to do, maybe like Zora's Daughter's podcast or something like that, really thinking about how do we talk to academics, or how do we bring in other programming or other shows people have and do some type of collaborative episode. But co-sign everything Ramsey just said. This is why we work together, because we got some ideas. All right, anything else about our recap of the year?
No, I mean, it was fun. Something we do talk about frequently is you just be living and shit just be happening. That's really it. Like, just a day at a time. One day delayed response was just, I don't mean to minimize it, but I do kind of have to, because I think people got to know.
Yeah.
It was just one of those kind of things. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. That
on a dog walk, I think I was like, hey, I think I really want to do this. I had this idea.
And I think my response was just like, okay, cool, yeah, and then it's kind of and here we are, just one day it was, it seemed like just another thing to do, and then now here it is. This a lot of time gone into it, a lot of effort, a lot of growth. A lot of Riley scratching
in the background.
And it's been fun. I mean, like I kind of said something during the drafting of the Salt episode where there were little tiffs. That's very much, there were tiffs, there were disagreements, and there's more incentive to be like, coming to a piece on the episode it's not just for the sake of the episode. Sometimes it's for the sake of us.
Yes, our time, our sanity.
Sanity, and then I'm saying us, but also us separately, just come to a conclusion. And it was fun to. Now that we're far removed from them, it's fun to have worked through those things. And then it was also kind of a personal challenge, a test of our communication. And then me personally, I have a specific vision of how I want to do my art things, but this isn't necessarily my art. So now how do I take what I see as a vision and mold it to yours? Because it is your vision. It's Delayed Response by Deja Beamon. I'm just kind of, and I'm not complaining, I like my role of being, I'm just helping. Which it's another level, it's just something else to kind of work on. Like, yes, I think this is what makes a good show, but I'm kind of limited to the art that I've consumed over my time, over my years. So what I think might be a good show or a good idea might not necessarily be a good show or a good idea or what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so how do I take what I view as good art, communicate it to you, wrap it around your vision to kind of bring it home. All that was very fun. And, once again, it just started on a dog walk. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. So those are like my final remarks. It's been fun. Saying that I'd like to do it again is very easy now. Right. 2022 is going to be a doozy. Yes. So it's a lot easier to say now. I would be interested, but, I can't. I'm a Sag man.
Reunion episode. Wait for it.
Oh, God.
Wait for it. Everybody got an internet now. We can produce that shit on our own if we need to. I'm sure Verge would take a sporadic episode from us.
Someone asking the spiciest questions.
Oh, God. I really wanted... That's something that I wish we could have figured out, how to have people interact more directly with this show. Because, when I envisioned it, obviously I knew it would be recorded in the house. COVID, is still a thing. I also don't like to leave my house, so I'm not trying to go to the radio station every Sunday at fucking noon. But, I was drawn to this opportunity because of Radio Free Roscoe, which used to be a show on the N where these teens used to just have a radio show and chop it up, and like part of it is like it being live and people can call in and you can really have that type of aspect. So in another world, maybe the liveness could be a part of it as well. And I wanted for us to just sort of like wrap up our year in like media we've consumed, sort of like bottomless books where like we bring, you know, what we like from the year and share with people. I wrote it down because I have too much in my brain, and I asked for just 5, so maybe we can just go back to back and we'll just name some of the favorite things that we've consumed ethically, hopefully. Not really, there's nothing ethical about any of the streaming sites, I'm sure. But just thinking about things we liked. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
What's the first media?
Whatever, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to do one per media.
Okay.
We can though. Okay, let's start with television.
Television.
Yeah, I like television.
Okay, so one of the, and I'm guessing I would say like not movies but TV shows.
Yes, television. Yeah, even if we watch everything on TV, but television shows.
Yeah. I mean, first thing that comes to mind, I just gotta get it out. Invincible.
Okay.
I don't. It was fun. There was a lot of shock value. I like the whole. I like the superhero aspect. What would these people do? Because they are unchecked. Like, why was Superman such a good dude?
Yeah, there's no
He
reason
could
to
do
be.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So.
He's just gonna be sniffing in that. We don't need that
No.
audio, but.
But also, he didn't do enough.
Yeah.
He didn't do nearly enough.
Yeah.
And then it also, I do like the existential thing at the end. Like, what is really worth? That's what Riley's pondering. What is really worth preserving? Like, what is the human nature that we're all fighting for? And I do like that shit. Like, you know, it is a question. Like, what does it comes down to, you know, personal. What does get me up in the morning? Why do I try so hard to kind of achieve and do stuff? You know, what is it? So. Invincible. Let me just say it and get it out of the way.
I like that because it was like it was a parody. It's a parody of superhero genre with like the actual gore that actually. I think that's the thing that I was like shocked about. Like, it's bloody, but it makes sense if these people are doing the things they do. So like, it's more gory than it is guns based. So that was an interesting like parody.
Oh, I am gonna say something else real quick about the Superman and superhero thing. And we can edit this out. When has
We're back after editing something out. So Ramsey was saying Invincible. I was saying it is a really nice parody. It's the way violence is portrayed, but it does also ask existential questions about good and evil and what is. If America is so flawed, why are we trying to preserve it? Type vibes. Okay, I had 2 shows, but I'll just do one for now. And my top was Wandavision.
I forgot about Wandavision.
Wandavision was so fucking good to me. I generally like superhero. Like, I love Wolverine, like X-Men. I don't dislike. Huh?
Because you're a nerd.
I'm a nerd. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Black nerds. I don't necessarily dislike superheroes by any stretch of the imagination. Something just happened, so we're gonna pause there. So my TV choice was WandaVision. I generally like superheroes, but something about that show, it was just like you could tell so much time and effort and forethought went into thinking about like, how do we make this a TV show? How do we make it diverse without some of the problems that I point out way too often in diversity things? And yeah, and it just was great. I loved it so much. So that's one of my picks for my top 5 of the year. I'll give you some inspiration. My 2 other picks for fave, and this is like not accurate, it's just based off of what I remember, would be Lena Waithe's season of Master of None. I really enjoyed that season. All of the critiques aside, I thought it was beautifully shot. I loved seeing like a Black lesbian main couple who was not perfect, and I love that they lived on a farm. So that was one, and my second one was High on the Hog, the Netflix show about Black cuisine. I think it could have been done differently in certain parts, but overall I think it's like a really great thing to have as a archive, and I cried at the end of a couple episodes. So yeah, those are my highlights. All black everything except WandaVision.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it for you? All you remember is Invincible?
Pretty much, yeah.
He's gonna remember something like as soon as we're done cutting. Okay. Insecure and Southside could be in there, but the year's not over yet.
Not over. Not
Yeah.
over.
Okay. What do you want to do? Movies or books?
Let's do books.
Yeah. I don't have any movies on my list.
Yeah, I don't have any movies.
Okay, what do you have for books? Oh, dude. I liked it. Yeah.
Books. Poppy Show. Poppy Show starts everything. I thought Poppy Show was great.
Mm-hmm.
I love Leonie Ross. I told you to read it.
I read
told
it. That
you to
was
read
on
it
my
again.
top 5. So good rec.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed Poppy Show.
Yeah, Poppy Show is great.
Yeah.
Detransition Baby.
That's one of mine too.
I saw it got slaughtered on one of the rating things, which I can see.
Yeah, there's plenty of
Critique.
things that could have been done better,
Yeah.
but also.
But I like it. I like it. It gave me a lot of ammunition. It gave me a lot of words to answer a lot of questions and to question more things that I had never even considered. Which that'll usually give me that gets pretty high marks usually with me consistently.
Yeah.
And I mean I loved it. I think she's a great writer.
Mm-hmm.
Or there, okay. She's a great writer. There were some quips in there some zingers that I loved. I loved that. I like the ambiguity I love ambiguity. Like, we both at least started out not liking Reese.
Mm-hmm.
And even still, I'm not going to say I like Reese, but there were some things in there that the way Tori described it that really resonated with me. Like, how when she walked into a room, she couldn't help but analyze just like everything in a negative light too. And I was like, okay, I feel that.
Identify.
Yeah, and I mean, kick it back to you. Detransition Baby is up there for me.
Yeah. Those are 2 of my picks as well. I suggest Poppy Show in the next segment, but I really enjoyed that book. I thought it was a really great fantasy. A lot of the like imagery and the metaphors have stuck with me. And like food was like a really big part of it, which was really nice to read. And I love Detransition Baby. I could structure a whole queer theory course around the book. I thought, it is about a trans experience, but it also asks a lot of questions about womanhood and motherhood that I never really considered as a cis person. So I was appreciative of that, and...
I was going to say in parenthood in general. Not to...
You're already interrupted me. Okay, you're fine.
I wasn't worried about interrupting you. Not to kind of take the focus off motherhood.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking from Ames' point of
I know
view.
what you mean, yeah.
Because Ames said something that still kind of just was earth-shaking to me. The fact that Ames wanted to be a parent, but Ames didn't want to be a father. Because that almost kind of resonated a bit too, to be honest. And don't want to get into that too much.
Yeah, like how fatherhood is like sort of inextricably tied to like fucked up masculinity and manhood. But is there some other type of... Yeah, I like it. Okay, anything else you got?
Yeah, and then 100 Years of Solitude, which is...
Okay, you read that this year?
Yeah, which is one of the best books I think I've ever read, period. I'm still kind of in like a hangover / come down from it. Starting the book that I'm supposed to be doing now has just been very hard. Not due to the quality of the book, but just it was one big story, and then you had the tiny stories in between, and then you had the stories under that. It really was like reading life. It was like reading and living life. If someone's life is the whole book, you have the chapters, and you have the chapters within the chapters, how they all play together, how inheritance is passed, and all that. It was one of the best books ever, and I'm going to read it again.
Nice. My third, I feel like, again, this is the disclaimer for this whole episode. Our memories are very short. So even I don't remember what happened from January to March to April, to be completely honest. So I might have read some books back then that I would have put on this list, but I don't remember. But Somebody's Daughter definitely stuck with me, by Ashley Ford. I deeply enjoyed just some of the thematics of that and the conversations that sprung out of it. Both but like in me and also in the things I consumed about the book, because I was really intrigued by the premise. Yeah, that's all I had for books. I feel like I've read more and like really good shit this year. I just don't remember.
I've read more, and I've read some good books. They're just not. I mean, they're good. It's just the books that I mentioned resonated with me.
Yeah.
They resonated something more than just the mental. It was feeling wise. They some of these books made me use all my senses. That's definitely Poppy's Show, and that's also 100 Years of Solitude.
Yeah.
And then Detransition Baby just made me think, use different parts of my brain that I hadn't considered, or just use different parts of my brain, one, and then kind of entertain new ideas that, one, I didn't know existed, two, that could be entertained, and three, gave me the words to kind of entertain some more ideas. So that's why those ring out. But there are other good ones, like Who is Maud Dixon was the first
that book.
Yeah, it was the first fiction book I read this year, and it was kind of like it was the transition into how I was going to be reading this year.
Yeah.
And the goal was to read more fiction, and it was kind of it was an easy read. It was a good way to get started back into fiction. Knights of the I can't remember.
Ooh, I read Crying in H Mart. That was pretty good. And so was, I'm sorry, I interrupted you a little bit, but that book, that memoir, but like it has all that hurricane shit that I read earlier this year. Not hurricane. There's like all these allusions to earthquakes. It don't matter. I'll put the title here if I remember. But little tremors, little fault lines. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
All right. What about music?
Music. So, what's yeah. That's weird. I'm definitely gonna put it. If I edit this, I'm definitely gonna put a like me doing that 3 times.
Anyway.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is Hiatus Coyote.
Oh yeah. For albums.
Mood Valiant. Isaiah Rashad. My guy, I'm glad he's back. Isaiah Rashad's.
The House is Burning.
The House is Burning. Thank you. Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost.
Yeah.
I know that. So, those 3, and then we've kind of, I won't say veered away from albums, but playlists have definitely taken the place. Building playlists, listening to playlists is kind of taking the place of albums.
Yeah.
A bit, because of their customization. What about you?
Cosign Hiatus Coyote. Thank you for forcing me to listen to them. We've had some tiffs over me not wanting to sit down and listen to music.
Me completely avoiding eye contact with the camera.
None of my heavy hitters came out with albums. Not that I have anybody that I fuck with that hard. I put our playlist on the list beforehand. A$AP Rocky's mixtape is now on Spotify, so I'm gonna claim that as a 2021 gift. Alright. Anything else you want to shout out from your fave consumptions this year?
This year, fave consumptions, shout out to New York Times Cooking.
Oh yeah, we did that. We love those.
Yeah, with like literal physical consumption. This has been a much more expansive year for me personally cooking.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff has come from New York Times Cooking.
Yeah. Bougie.
Yeah, and then speaking of bougie, shout out to the smaller internet recipe folks. We've definitely learned how to cook some favorites differently and how to cook new things because of them, those nameless folks.
Right.
Shouts out to art that we've consumed. I'm really thankful you put me on to June.
Oh yeah, June.
What I eat during the week or whatever.
Budget Eats.
Budget Eats.
But she also vlogs everything she does in her whole fucking entire life. Love you, girl, but also.
That's been really good. Sola, of course, has been fun.
Sola and ham is definitely a top 5.
So much so that I want to do that for us.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? Allison Roman's been good to watch.
Yes, shouting out white girls. So you know it's real.
Who else?
White women, sorry.
A Between,
A Between, yeah.
Yeah. That and let's see what else if we. I think that might
My
be.
brain's a little dead at this point in the evening.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fair.
Lovers Rock. I know I did an episode on that,
Lovers
but we were
Rock.
obsessed with that being at the top of the year.
Bringing it back to the British blacks.
Right. I was like, I know there's some British blacks we need a shout out. Shout out to Afrobeats.
Mm-hmm.
Great year for y'all. Thank you for your service.
Listen to a lot of Afrobeats.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Shouts out to the dope TikTok creators, the ones that go viral and the ones that don't. Y'all are doing the damn thing.
Right.
I have enjoyed and learned a lot. TikTok might have killed Zillow. Crazy.
Shout out to y'all for that.
Shouts out to y'all for that.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's it. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Sorry, yeah, happy holidays, everybody.
Let me cut it
I mean, that's fair. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy Kwanzaa. We're going to do that this year.
We're gonna get a Kwanzaa.
That was a Kenora.
Kanor. We need to cut. All right, that's it. Thank you, Ramsey, for being my guest on the last episode of Delayed Response ? All right, gift guide and action. So one of my favorite parts about the holidays is all of the gift guides that come out. As someone who obviously likes to share her opinion, I just love this desire to capture different personalities through different categories of presents. And so I asked some of the homies, some of my followers on Instagram if they needed some recs. And so I have a stocking full of some of the requests they have, and I will just go through some of them and see if I can come up with what you should give your people for the holidays. All right, first up we have book for someone who doesn't have time to read. So book for someone who doesn't have time to read, I would definitely suggest any book of essays. If you give them a book of essays, they can, read one a day, one a week, depending on their pace. They get a lot of different stories in the same book, right? So it's not like you have to start all over again, 200 pages to get a full narrative or a full flow. They'll just be, many abundant stories. So some that I would suggest, and some of these answers might overlap with some other categories, but Samantha Irby's collections of books, I will put their titles right here for you. They're very funny. I mean, they're humorous, they're relatable, they're diverse, right? So every essay, sometimes they're written in listicles, sometimes they're written in long form narrative, just like a really abundant book. I also really like the Schizophrenia Journal. That's not the name of the book, but that book was really good. Again, I'll have it on the side of the screen, by Esme Wang. What other books of essays do I really like? Anything by Hanif, Columbus's own. Little Devil in America that just came out. The one before that. I don't think it's The Crowning Worth It. What is it called? Oh my gosh. Oh, They Can't Kill Us Till They Kill Us. So any of his books are really dope, especially if you like music and music criticism. I think that's it. Yeah, but my first thought is a book of essays, because you can just cover a whole range of different topics and entries. Ooh, If a Man Falls from the Sky is really good. I don't remember the whole name of the author, so again, book title pause. But cop that has some really interesting short stories as well. Yeah, so book of essay or short story collection is my first suggestion. All right, what do we have next? Books for people that love illustrations, and specifically adults who love illustrations. No, sick. This was a really hard one, because I don't really know if any of the books that I gravitate towards have illustrations. The first book that came to mind is there's a book that was just released about W.E.B. Du Bois and how he used charts in his sociological like data about African Americans at the turn of the century. As someone who likes to draw a lot when I'm like theorizing and figuring some shit out, that's been on my TBR to be read list. So I would highly suggest that. Illustrations, yeah, that's all I really got. If y'all have any ideas, I don't know if there's a comment section. You want to comment down below? All right, next up. A follow-up to Braiding Sweetgrass. So Braiding Sweetgrass is essentially a book about indigenous knowledge and the land by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And it's just, I thought it was brilliant. Like if you like food, if you like gardening, if you just want to know other ways of being in relation to this world, if you want to learn more about indigenous beliefs, it sort of covers the gamut, and that makes this question a little bit harder, right? Because I'm like, do I want to go environmental and like green, or do I want to go indigenous knowledge and different relations? And then it also just does a lot of critiques on knowledge overall. So, Parable of the Sower, that's a great companion by Octavia Butler to Braiding Sweetgrass, because it also like thinks about dogma and beliefs and the earth ending. Yeah, that's a good one. Good job, Deja. All right. Next up, we have follow-up to In the Dream House. So In the Dream House is like a memoir by Carmen Maria Machado that historicizes an abusive relationship, a lesbian abusive relationship, through these like series of short entries, and the house is like a major figure in the book as well. So I'm trying to think about all of those different themes. My first thought when I was thinking about this was Zombie by Audre Lorde, which is Audre Lorde's biomythography. Really to think about the different like lesbian coming of age and the different spaces that impact our lives, etc. But I also think you could do so much. Maybe like any book that is a play on a fairy tale, honestly. So I'm thinking about Girl Snowbird. I'm not sure who the author that is. I haven't read it. That's how this goes. That could be really interesting. What else? In the Dream House. Yeah, and I would just read any of the citations she cites in that book. The good thing about that book is she cites a lot of other things. Like she's really trying to bring you into her citational practice the way that she has rationalized some of the experiences through being well read. So she cites a lot of different like pop culture moments or other entries into this topic and into this like into thinking about abuse. So highly suggest that. There's something about the form though. I feel like I know another book that writes in a very in like an entry based form. But I can't think of it right now. There's gotta be more. There are more, but some of them aren't relatable right now. That's what I got for that. Okay, next up. Fiction for non-fiction lovers. I mean, y'all, any historical fiction, right? Like, historical fiction is a great bridge for someone who normally reads nonfiction. And I would also maybe even say like historical fiction from a different perspective, right? I feel like there's a lot of great writing coming out by minority people or underrepresented people in literature that take historical events and present different, you know, entries and readings into them, right? Like Homegoing by Yagi. I've, you know, been citing that book for years now, and I love it because it really makes you question genre. Like, what does it mean when you tell the story of slavery through fiction? How does empathy move differently? How can you paint a different type of picture? And so I would encourage that with any type of fiction you're bringing to nonfiction people, just really thinking about, okay, what does he normally, or they, I assumed he, I assume this is a man who likes nonfiction exclusively, but a cis man in particular. But like, what did they like to learn about through these nonfiction lenses? And can I think about a fiction book that ups the ante or changes the perspective, right? So, all right, next. Poetry for haters. I shortened this one. It was poetry for people who don't like poetry. And my advice for this is pretty fucking similar, to be honest. I feel like we think about poetry as these individual pieces that sometimes can come sit, sometimes go over our head, and sometimes, you know, become canonical. Yeah. When really poetry is normally like in a book, right? And these books are normally themed. So there's a lot of poetry that directly comments on similar themes that you may find in a fiction or nonfiction or any other genre book that you like. So just doing like a little bit of research and really trying to think about the thematics and not get lost in the individual poems poetics, right? And I think that's why people hate poetry, is because they think that it's like a one-off, right? And the thing with poetry is it's something you should be going back to over and over and over again. You should be reading it out loud. You should be reading it in different seasons. You should be reading it in different settings. You should be reading it in front of friends, right? So really just think of a poetry book through its overall theme, and then suggesting poetry based off that. But for example, I have a chapter I've been working on for a while. Well, not really, but a chapter that I should be finishing now. Smile. And I heard that a poetry collection was coming out that addressed similar themes. I'll tag it here. I think it's called We Are Ode. I don't remember the name of the author right now. My citational practice today is weak. I did not write down any of these answers, obviously. My bad. Love everybody featured. There'll be a list. There's always a reading list, right? But I've been trying to think through Afro, you know, Latinx experiences, and I read through her Instagram that the book explores being Afro-Mexican, and I was like, okay, that's something I'm already interested in, and so let me buy this book of poetry and really delve in, right? If you hate poetry though, like I said, try it in different spaces, listen to it. There's so many podcasts that will also help you think through how theme is organized, how like references you may not get, you know. Reading poetry is like reading a research paper. Like, you should be Googling words that you don't know, and every word could be an illusion, right? So just really spending time with it. I'm trying to think if there's like a starter pack poetry, but no, you know, poetry's all gonna be dense. So yeah, I would just go with the themes that you know your loved ones appreciate and enjoy. Okay, so I had one request, and I didn't paraphrase this very well, but they basically asked what books to buy when you just have like a lot of family. Like, so it's not really about a theme, but like, oh my god, I have all these people to buy for. What the fuck do I buy? And to that I say, coffee table books or cookbooks, right? And think about them as couple or household gifts, right? So instead of thinking about, oh my gosh, you know, Aunt Lulu has a couple of kids, and then her husband, and like maybe somebody else lives in the house, I don't know, right? Thinking about, is there one or two coffee table books that have come out recently that everyone in the household can engaged with and enjoy together. Similarly, are there any cookbooks maybe that came out? There's been so many great cookbooks that have come out. Maybe I'll put a litany of the ones that I have been intrigued by on the screen sometime. Let me pause for that. But yeah, those are my first thoughts, because I think often we don't buy those things for ourselves. Like, we're not going to buy ourselves a nice, I mean, I would, but most of the time we don't buy ourselves nice coffee table books. It's a great Christmas present that really can be a household shabam. I think we have like 2 more. So, oh, I got 3 more. Look at that. The first one being books for the avid reader. Oh. I would say for avid readers, I would get them some type of themed collection based off of one of the authors that they're fond of. You know, if you have avid readers in your life, they normally have 1 or 2 authors that they just fuck with. They have a genre they fuck with. So it's really easy to find, or not easy rather, but you can find books that are about those authors, that are about those themes, right? So I'm thinking about, if you like Octavia Butler, there's an Octavia's Brood collection of essays where they're getting exposed to other people who read in the same areas as they do, or cite in the same areas as they do, but it's not like an Octavia Butler book that they might already have, you know what I mean? Similarly, a lot of like canonical books are getting updated versions with really cool intros, or people are just really responding to these books as well as the authors. There's also been a lot of like thematic collections that came out, right? So maybe not author-based, but identity-based. I know there's been like all these poetry collections that are aimed at certain identity categories or investments. Thinking about Well-Read Black Girl had like a collection on girlhood. She has a collection on some other things too, right? So just really thinking about who do they gravitate towards, what are some themes they gravitate towards, and seeing if anything new has come out collection based around those. Okay, next up, new sci-fi for people well-versed or who have read the canon. Not really a sci-fi person. I love Parable of the Sower series, and that's about it. Like, I haven't even read most of Octavia Butler's other shit, mainly because of time, and also because I don't really read science fiction. So my first thought is N.K. Jemisin. She gets a lot of love as like our contemporary Black woman sci-fi writer. I really liked her news collection, which I'll put the title of here because I can't remember. I'm shitty today. But the one about New York, the city they became, that was really great. And then I know she has like a book of essays as well. I would say Poppy Show. I don't know. I lent that book out to a friend. I'm not sure if it's considered science fiction. It might be fantasy, but I really enjoyed that book. Picture here. It took place in, you know, a new space in the Caribbean. It thought about religion and food and embodiment in a new way. So I would highly suggest, if you're anybody who likes sci-fi, to read that book as well. Last but not least, oh, this is the hard one. Book for seasonal affective disorder time. What would we suggest? I mean, a lot of the suggestions I gave today last with me because they brought me a joy in an off season. Spring Sweetgrass I read last winter, and it got me really excited for the spring, and like got me planning the spring and being in like a spring mode a little bit early, which was helpful for me. Similarly, like Poppy Show was a great read for me. I read that a little bit later in the year, but it really like was escapist in a lot of ways and was bright. Samantha Irby's books of essays are hilarious, and I'm sure they would help you through sad. Yeah, so I would say thinking about like reading about other places and spaces Don't really like, read your usual sad poetry or poetry or readings if you have connections to. Just read new stuff. We like to go through the book review. I mean, I look for POC writers, so I sort of know the authors' names. But like just looking around, seeing what came out recently, reading a little blurb, and really taking this time when we have less light outside, when we don't want to go outside, when we're sad, to sit and read. All right, I think that's all from the What Would You Gift, from the Delayed Response Gift Guide, from the Santa Deja segment. Wait, let's say goodbye.
How?
Oh, how do I normally say goodbye? You're the one who edits me.
Oh, I have no idea. I can't.
All right, that's all we got for this month.
Mm-hmm.
Tune in next time.
On Delayed Response with Deja Beamon.
I'm trying to come up with a good... Bye!